What if the worries that have followed you for years were never truly yours to carry? What if the anxieties about aging, the uncertainties about the future, the quiet fears you don't talk about, were simply clouds passing through your mind and not the sky itself? After 60, life changes in ways no one fully prepares you for. The world feels faster. Your body speaks in new ways. People you once leaned on may no longer be near, and the mind, left without the noise of earlier responsibilities, often fills the quiet with worry. Worry about health, worry about the future, worry about being alone, worry about time running out. But Buddhism offers a powerful truth. You are not meant to spend the later years of your life trapped in fear. You are meant to spend them living gently, joyfully, and with deep inner peace. This video is not about forcing yourself to stay positive. It is about discovering a calm that does not depend on circumstances, a peace that does not age, a happiness that comes from the wisdom you have earned. These are 6 Buddhist lessons to help you stop worrying about everything and find true happiness every single day after 60. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Notice the mind, don't obey it. One of the most common teachings in Buddhism is simple, yet deeply liberating. You are the observer of your thoughts, not the servant of them. After 60, the mind often becomes louder, not because anything is wrong, but because life slows down externally and speeds up internally. You have more time to think, more time to reflect, more time to imagine scenarios that may never unfold. And because you have lived through so much, the mind has decades of memories, fears, and stories to pull from. But here is something you may not have been told. Just because a thought appears does not mean it deserves your attention. You may wake up and think, what if something happens today? You may feel a small ache in your body and think, is this the beginning of decline? You may wonder about your future and think, will I be okay? The mind is doing what minds have always done, attempting to protect you. Its job is to imagine danger, but your job is to notice the thought without surrendering your peace to it. The Buddha compared thoughts to passing clouds. They come, they go, they shift, they dissolve. None of them stay. But the sky, the awareness behind them, remains open and untouched. Here's a simple practice. When a worry appears, instead of believing it, gently say, this is just a thought, not a truth. Feel how your body softens. Feel the space that opens. This is the beginning of freedom. You have lived long enough to know that most of the things you once worried about never happened. The sleepless nights, the anxious planning, the fear-driven scenarios, how many of them turned out to be illusions? Worry is not a prediction. Worry is a habit. And like all habits, it can be unlearned by bringing awareness to it. The moment you notice a worry as a mental event, not a reality, you weaken its power. Over time, the mind becomes quieter, gentler, more cooperative. It begins to serve you instead of frightening you. The goal is not to control your thoughts. The goal is to stop letting them control you. When you stop obeying every thought that moves through your mind, you begin to experience a quieter, more peaceful life, a life that feels spacious, a life where happiness has room to breathe. Lesson 2. Simplify your life to simplify your mind. Buddhism teaches that suffering grows in clutter, mental clutter, emotional clutter, and physical clutter. And one of the most powerful gifts of life after 60 is the invitation to simplify. In your younger years, complexity was unavoidable. You had responsibilities, ambitions, relationships to maintain, tasks to complete, people to care for, and expectations, both internal and external, pressing on you. But now you enter a season where simplicity is not only possible, it is healing. Worry thrives in a crowded life. Peace thrives in a spacious one. Think of your mind as a garden. When there are too many weeds, too many tasks, obligations, unresolved tensions, unfinished duties, the mind becomes restless. You may not even realize how much of your stress comes from mental clutter rather than real problems. Ask yourself gently, what am I holding on to that no longer brings me peace? What responsibilities have I outgrown? What expectations can I release? The Buddha taught the middle way, a life not of excess, not of deprivation, but of intentional simplicity. This applies beautifully to later life. Simplifying does not mean withdrawing from the world. It means creating space for what truly matters. Here are ways simplicity naturally reduces worry. 1. Fewer possessions, fewer burdens. Every object you own holds a tiny piece of your attention. By letting go of what you no longer need, you quiet the mental noise you didn't realize was there. 2. Fewer obligations, more peace. You no longer need to attend every event, answer every call, or meet every expectation. You can choose the environments that feel nourishing and decline the ones that drain you. 3. Fewer toxic relationships. This is a period of life where you have full permission to distance yourself from people who bring stress rather than warmth. Emotional simplicity is sanity. 4. Fewer internal demands. Perhaps the most important of all, let go of pressure to be who you once were. The achiever, the caretaker, the endlessly dependable one. You have earned your rest. You have earned your ease. You have earned your boundaries. When your life becomes simpler, your mind naturally becomes lighter. Worry loses its fuel. Peace grows in the empty spaces where stress used to live. Simplicity is not a loss. It is a return to yourself, to your breath, to your inner calm. And when you simplify your life after 60, you discover that happiness was waiting beneath the clutter all along. Lesson 3. Return to the present moment, because this moment is still yours. One of the deepest Buddhist teachings is this: worry cannot survive in the present moment. It only lives in the mind's stories about the past or the mind's predictions about the future. After 60, the mind often revisits old memories, some beautiful, some painful. It may analyze choices made decades ago or wonder how life might have been different. At the same time, it looks into the future with uncertainty. Will my health hold? Will I be alone? Will life remain meaningful? But the truth is, neither the past nor the future is happening right now. Only this moment is real. The Buddha compared the mind to a monkey, always jumping, grasping, imagining. But he also taught that peace is found not by stopping the monkey, but by watching it with gentle awareness. Presence is not about forcing yourself to stay focused. It is about softly returning again and again to where your life is actually happening here. Worry asks, what if? Presence asks, what is true in this moment? Consider this. Right now, as you listen to these words, you are breathing. Your heart is beating. You are alive. In this exact moment, nothing is missing. But the mind, left unobserved, pulls you away from the peace of the present by creating imaginary problems. It builds entire stories about what could go wrong, even though most of those scenarios will never occur. Buddhism teaches the practice of sati, mindful awareness. It is the art of noticing your experience without drowning in it. When a worry appears, you don't fight it or indulge it. You simply observe it with the tenderness of someone watching clouds drift across the sky. Try this simple exercise whenever worry arises. Pause. Feel your breath move in and out. Notice the ground beneath you. Feel your shoulders relax. And quietly say, "In this moment, I am safe." These words anchor you back into reality, into presence. Some people believe that aging means losing life, but in reality, aging often brings you into a deeper life because you finally have the wisdom to recognize what is precious. You have lived through enough storms to know they all pass. You have experienced enough loss to appreciate what remains. You have watched life move in cycles and seen that fear never protects, but presence always comforts. The more time you spend in the present moment, the more you realize that life still holds beauty. The light in the morning, the sound of birds, the laughter of someone you love, the taste of warm tea, the way peace feels when it settles into your chest. These small things, often overlooked in youth, become sacred in the later years, not because they changed, but because you have. Worry cannot take root in a mind that returns again and again to the here and now. You don't have to eliminate every anxious thought. You simply have to notice the difference between your life and your mind's imagination. The present moment is still yours, and it is the only place where happiness is possible. Lesson 4. Accept impermanence and find the freedom hidden within change. Impermanence is one of Buddhism's most essential teachings. It means that everything in life changes. Our bodies, our relationships, our circumstances, our beliefs, even our identities. For many, this idea sounds frightening. But when truly understood, impermanence is not a source of fear. It is a doorway into freedom. After 60, the body changes in ways that can feel unfamiliar. Your face may no longer reflect the youth you remember. Your energy may rise and fall unpredictably. People you once relied on may drift away. Roles that once defined you may no longer be relevant. This stage of life can feel like a series of quiet goodbyes. Goodbye to old abilities, goodbye to old routines, goodbye to versions of yourself that once felt permanent. But Buddhism offers a comforting truth. You are not the things that change. You are the awareness that witnesses the change. Imagine a river. The water is constantly moving, always flowing, always shifting. Yet the river is still the river. Your physical form, your circumstances, your relationships, these are the flowing waters of your life. But your deepest self, your awareness, your wisdom, that is the riverbed. Unmoved, steady, constant. When you resist change, you suffer, not because change is painful, but because the mind clings to what is already gone. When you accept change, you soften into life just as it is. You allow the present to be enough. Impermanence is not loss. It is the gentle reminder that nothing can be taken for granted, and therefore everything must be cherished. Think of the seasons. Spring blossoms, but it cannot stay. Summer shines, but it cannot stay. Autumn returns everything to the earth, but it cannot stay. Winter rests, but it cannot stay. You would never blame a tree for changing with the seasons. Why blame yourself? After 60, impermanence becomes more visible, but it also becomes more meaningful. You now have the ability to appreciate life with a depth you didn't have before. A morning walk feels sacred. A quiet meal feels comforting. A simple conversation carries weight. Instead of worrying about what might change next, ask yourself, what can I appreciate about this moment before it passes? This question transforms fear into gratitude. It turns uncertainty into awareness. It shifts your focus from what is leaving to what is here. In Buddhism, impermanence is not something to fight. It is something to honor. It reminds you that every experience, even the difficult ones, has its purpose. It teaches you to let go with grace. It encourages you to love without holding too tightly. The more you accept impermanence, the more you realize that happiness is not found in keeping life the same. It is found in embracing life as it unfolds. You cannot stop change, but you can stop fearing it. And once you do, you will discover a freedom that only wisdom can reveal. Lesson 5. Create daily joy through small rituals. Let happiness become a practice, not an accident. As we move into the later chapters of life, happiness often becomes misunderstood. Many people believe joy must come from big achievements, major events, or dramatic changes. But Buddhism teaches something profoundly different. True happiness grows from small, intentional rituals practiced every day. After 60, you may find that life has slowed down. The days may feel quieter, routines more predictable, and time more spacious. But this spaciousness is not emptiness. It is fertile ground for building a life rich with meaning. It is a time when simple joys, once overshadowed by responsibility, can now become your greatest treasures. Worry often fills the space that routine leaves behind. The mind looks for something to do, and when it cannot find a task, it invents fears. But small daily rituals give the mind something gentle to hold on to, something grounding, steadying, nourishing. A Buddhist monk once said, "Joy is not what you find. Joy is what you cultivate." And this cultivation can be incredibly simple. Here are some examples of rituals that bring calm, presence, and subtle happiness into everyday life. A morning mindfulness ritual. Before checking your phone or thinking about the day ahead, place your hand over your heart and take a slow breath. Whisper something kind to yourself, such as, "I am here. Today is a gift." This small ritual sets the tone for peace instead of worry. A tea or coffee practice. In Zen Buddhism, tea is not just a drink, it is a meditation. When you brew a warm cup, feel the warmth in your hands, inhale the aroma, taste each sip. This turns an ordinary routine into a grounding moment of presence. A daily outdoor moment. This could be a walk, sitting on a bench, or simply opening the window to feel the air. Nature gently dissolves anxiety. The sky, the trees, the breeze, they remind you of the vastness beyond your worries. A gratitude pause. Each evening, recall 3 small moments that brought you peace. Not big things, small ones. A pleasant conversation, a comforting meal, the softness of your pillow, the way sunlight touched your floor. This practice trains the mind to look for blessings instead of problems. A ritual of connection. Call one person you genuinely care about, not out of obligation, but out of warmth. Even a short conversation can nourish the heart. Connection is medicine. A letting go ritual. Before you sleep, imagine placing your worries into a bowl of water and letting them dissolve. This symbolic practice allows the mind to release what it cannot control. Rituals work because they transform ordinary moments into sacred pauses. They become anchors of stability, reminding you that inner calm is always available. And the more you repeat them, the more your mind begins to prefer peace over worry, presence over overthinking. You may wonder, can small rituals really make me happier? Yes, because happiness is not a destination. It is the result of moments lived with intention. Joy built from small daily practices becomes more durable, more grounded, and less dependent on circumstances. After 60, you have the wisdom to know that life passes quickly. But this truth also offers a gift. It teaches you to savor the present, to dwell in small pleasures, to honor routines that bring comfort, to treat each day as a chance to begin again. Think of your life as a garden now, not a race. Your rituals are seeds. Each one you plant grows into a subtle joy that stays with you. And over time, these small joys weave together into a life that feels gentle, meaningful, and free of unnecessary worry. You don't need to chase happiness anymore. You only need to welcome it, one small ritual at a time. Lesson 6. Live with compassion and wisdom. Your legacy is the peace you bring to others. In Buddhism, compassion is not an emotional extra. It is the heart of spiritual maturity. And after 60, compassion becomes more than a virtue. It becomes a way of living that gives your days purpose, connection, and quiet joy. You may notice something interesting about aging. The older you become, the more your heart naturally softens. Anger loses its flavor. Arguments feel heavy. Old grudges start to feel unnecessary. Life has taught you too much, shown you too much, humbled you too much to cling to the small conflicts that once consumed you. And yet, many people carry invisible wounds, memories of past mistakes, regrets, unmet expectations, or self-judgments that weigh down the spirit. Compassion begins here, with yourself. Ask yourself honestly, do I speak to myself gently? Do I forgive myself for what I did not know then? Do I allow myself to be human? The Buddha taught that each person has 3 forms of suffering: the suffering of the body, the suffering of the mind, and the suffering of the heart. After 60, the body may speak a little louder, but the heart often holds the heaviest burdens, the ones no one else sees. Compassion is the practice of putting those burdens down. Here is a simple truth. You have suffered enough. You have carried enough. You have punished yourself long enough. Let yourself rest. Let yourself soften. Let yourself be forgiven. When you are compassionate with yourself, compassion naturally flows outward. You begin to understand others more deeply, not because you approve of everything they do, but because you recognize the shared human struggle beneath all behavior. You see that everyone, even those who have hurt you, is trying to navigate their own pain. Compassion does not mean allowing people to harm you. It does not mean tolerating disrespect. It simply means seeing clearly, with a wise, open heart. And this clarity becomes your legacy. After 60, your presence carries a special kind of energy. Younger people look to you, consciously or unconsciously, for stability. Your calmness becomes a refuge. Your patience becomes a teaching. Your quiet wisdom becomes a lighthouse for others who feel lost. You may not realize it, but people remember how they feel around you. Not what you look like, not what you own, not what you achieved, but the way your energy made them feel safe, understood, or accepted. Compassion is not loud. It does not announce itself. It is found in small gestures, a soft smile to someone who looks lonely, a patient response instead of a sharp one, a forgiving heart when someone disappoints you, a willingness to listen without judgment. These small moments create ripples that continue long after conversations end, long after days pass, long after you leave a room. This is how you leave a legacy, not through achievements carved in stone, but through kindness woven into the memory of others. Finally, compassion transforms your relationship with the world itself. Instead of feeling like life is slipping away, you begin to see the beauty in its fragility. Instead of fearing what you cannot control, you appreciate the wisdom that comes with letting go. Instead of worrying about how much time remains, you focus on how deeply you are living right now. You become a presence of peace, a quiet blessing, a gentle reminder that wisdom is not loud and happiness is not complicated. When compassion guides your days, you no longer worry about whether your life mattered. You know it did, because every person you touched carries a piece of your kindness with them. And that is the most meaningful legacy of all. As you carry these Buddhist lessons into your days, remember that peace is not a distant dream. It is already within you, waiting to be lived. Every breath, every choice, every small act of awareness opens the door to a calmer, lighter, more joyful life after 60. If this message brought you comfort or clarity, please support mindfulness by liking, subscribing, and sharing this video. Your presence here means more than you know. May you be peaceful. May you be well.